I want every white person in this room who would be happy to be treated as this society in general treats our citizens, our black citizens. If you, as a white person, would be happy to receive the same treatment that our black citizens do in this society, please stand. You didn't understand the directions. If you white folks want to be treated the way blacks are in this society, stand. Nobody's standing here. That says very plainly that you know what's happening. You know you don't want it for you. I want to know why you're so willing to accept it or to allow it to happen for others.
Slavery has been a universal institution for thousands of years, as far back as you can trace human history. And what we're looking at is if slavery is something that happened to one race of people in one country, when in fact the spread of it was around the world. In 1776, which is when Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations, as well as when the United States got started, he said that Western Europe is the only place in the world where there is no slavery. And even the Western Europeans had vast numbers of slaves in the Western Hemisphere,
yes,
but not in Western Europe itself. And so if you're going to have reparations for slavery, it's going to be the greatest transfer of wealth back and forth, because the number of whites, for example, who were enslaved in North Africa by the Barbary pirates exceeded the number of Africans enslaved in the United States and in the American colonies before that put together. But nobody is going to North Africa to ask for reparations, because nobody is going to be fool enough to give it to them.
But here's the problem. When it comes to reparations, the majority of black Americans support reparations. Of course, a minority of the folks, I think they said maybe like around 18% of the folks support reparations. And that sounds about right. Because it's a minority in the folks, community who want to do the right thing, who want to see the right thing, who are overall good people. It's a minority. The majority, they do not want to get rid of their apartheid system here in America at all costs. And they know that you give black people reparations, you're going to start putting an end to the apartheid system that's still going on in America. See, at least South Africa had talked about their apartheid system. At least in South Africa, they say, you know what?
Will the blacks stop begging and blaming?
Begging?
And blaming.
Who's begging?
The blacks.
I don't know who's begging. What are they begging
reparations,
for? Arguing that we deserve reparations and affirmative action?
When will they stop begging?
When you give it to us.
And what is it that you want?
I want reparations. I want my money.
You want money?
Yes.
Your money.
I'm a foundational black American. I want money for what my ancestors went through.
And how much do you want?
You could give me, I'll speak for myself. I think give me between 300,000 to $1 million.
You personally want 300,000 to $1 million
yes.
of your reparation money.
Right.
And what did you do to earn that money?
I was born, and I come from the lineage of black American slaves, and we never got our reparations. They gave white slave masters reparation. Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, who was a Republican, right? He gave white slave masters reparations and didn't give the blacks who he so-called freed, he didn't give them any reparations. That doesn't make sense.
So what groups should receive reparations then?
Start with black people.
Would this be like any black person? Say if they just came from Jamaica or Africa, would they be entitled to reparations?
The difference between like a black American and someone from Jamaica is they have a place to call home. For a lot of black Americans, their whole ethnic identity was erased by slavery. Jamaicans still have a culture there. There is a culture in Africa. I, on the other hand, as a descendant of ex-slaves, this is the only place that I've known as a home.
You say you don't support reparations. Why not?
Not everybody suffered equally. I mean, when you go into slavery, it's much more complex than all white people were the oppressors and black people were the victims. If you dissect it, you will find there were about 3,700 free blacks who owned 12,000 slaves, black slaves. The question is, do the descendants of those free blacks who owned black slaves, do they pay? Blacks really benefited more the first 100 years after slavery than we have in the last 50 years. I was born in 1937 during the Depression. Everyone in my small, low-income black community, 98% of the households had a man and a woman raising children. Elderly people could walk safely in that community without fear of being assaulted by their grandchildren. Never heard a gunfire during that time. Never heard of a child being shot to death in the crib. But there are 50 children today who have been shot and killed in our cities. If you're talking about remedies, we've got to look beyond saying that every solution has to have a winner and a loser, that blacks can only benefit if whites lose. We have to be defined more than just victims of oppression. When whites were at their worst, blacks were at their best. When we were denied access to hotels, we built our own. We have to communicate to our people the history of how they achieved in the face of oppression. But if we continue to sit back and say all of the challenges that we face in out of wedlock births of violence, that somehow the control of that is in the hands of white America, and therefore until white people change, there's nothing that we can do. This sets up a terrible situation for this nation. The big crisis facing America is not racial. It is a moral and spiritual freefall that is consuming our children. The highest death rate among black families is homicide. Among Silicon Valley, the highest level of suicide, 6 times the national average. In Appalachia, there are prescription drugs. And so if we are to address this crisis that is causing our children to lack a sense of personal responsibility or value for their own life, they will take their own life or take someone else's. So in order to address that, we must come together and look beyond race and realize America is drowning because it's in a moral and spiritual freefall. None of us should be defined by the worst of what we were in the past, but we should be defined by what we want to become in the future, and that people are motivated to change when you give them a vision of victories that are possible, not constantly reminding them of injuries to be avoided.
I think it's not either or, I think it's and. I think we can do both. We cannot ignore the reality of systemic racism and how it's affected the black community. You can't just be like, we need to just focus on our own issues. The violence is happening in the black community, it's the black people's fault, and we need to focus on that. Actually, it's a lot of things. So we can't just separate them and be like, just focus on yourselves, don't worry about racism. It's finding us. It finds us wherever we go. It's not our fault, right? So what you're saying is we need to focus our issues on ourselves and not wait for this. No, we can do both. We can get reparations and we can work on issues within our community as we have always been doing. But we need to start removing the barriers that are there that shouldn't be there.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.
You want to talk about reparations? We pay reparations. What do you mean you want reparations? Our taxpayer dollars, which are mostly white people paying that, goes to, what is it? Affordable housing, government programs, EBT, scholarships, DEI, you guys getting jobs. Holy shit. Let's take all that, factor in the theft, factor in the crime, factor it in the murders, and then we'll talk about reparations on this show. How about that? You probably won't like that, will you? Because you're not going to like the numbers. But we are all, frankly, exhausted.
This is a very ignorant and facetious take on the topic of reparations. Government assistance programs who anybody can apply for, including immigrants who just got here yesterday. Almost nobody qualifies for. It's supposed to be reparations for 400 years of chattel slavery. And what does crime rates have to do with reparations? I'm starting to believe that most people actually don't know what reparative justice actually is. It's supposed to repair something that happened in the past. And I just love how people always make it seem like black people are the only ones who commit crimes. Like, we're the only, like, Crimes happen in every single community. This is the reason why I will never take the opinion of outsiders into account when talking about Black American issues. There's just not, I mean, it's just too unserious.
So let's talk about reparations and Black people across the diaspora. Yesterday, I saw a video where a Black American was talking about the fact that we are all not the same, and that those people who are of Black African descent in the diaspora who live here in the United States, who are Americans, are not the same and do not support reparations because we have no skin in the game. And I just have to address this. This is the craziest thing that I've ever heard of. And I'm not going to say that there aren't those people who don't support reparations for those reasons, but we've got to stop not being able to see the big picture. Someone like me, and I know that I am not unique, okay? I am not unique in this, okay? I am a Grenadian American. I am an African American. I never thought of myself as anything other than an African American. The reparations question, 100% support reparations. Understood from the door that I am not entitled to reparations in the United States. However, what part of the United States being a global power, if reparations were granted to Black Americans, that it would actually set an international precedent that would put pressure on those other colonial nations, Belgium, Germany, Portugal, the UK, France, all of these countries who have colonized and took and profited off of the back of our people. We are one people. You cannot separate us. What is this? So if me and my brother was on the slave ship and they sold him there and they sold me here, we're not family? Is that what you're saying? If you're entitled to reparations, it will only strengthen my case. Case in point, the UN resolution that happened, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, where all African nations and other nations across the world voted that slavery was the gravest crime against humanity. We are one. Stop with this division. Stop with we're not the same. Stop acting as if slavery only happened in one place and that your pain and is greater than someone else's pain. Your legacy is the only legacy because it is focused on the most. We've got to stop this. We've got to stop this. We're family. We're branches of the same tree.
The anti-weaponization fund is for Black people, and I can prove it. Oh yeah, baby, that $1.8 billion is ours. Especially when your vice president says the criteria is...
Check, we're going to take a lot of people who are going to apply and say that they have been mistreated by their government. We think it's reasonable to give them just compensation.
Here are 6 reasons why. First, the Homestead Act, the government gave away 1.6 million acres in land, and Black people were systematically excluded. Wealth laws, $326 billion. 2, the Social Security Act of 1935, the government excluded agricultural and domestic workers, of which Black people at that time constituted 60%. That's the GI Bill. 1.2 million Black veterans returned from World War II. Banks refused these veterans loans, and nearly $33 billion in home loans went exclusively to white veterans. The Federal Housing Administration drew red lines around Black neighborhoods and refused to insure mortgages there. 1981 to 1996, the USDA denied loans to Black farmers. Farm ownership dropped from 14% to just just 1% next to HBCU land grant funding gap. The government gave HBCU lands but refused to match the land with funds and the PPP. The government distributed $525 billion. However, black entrepreneurs received a 29% approval rate through banks, while white entrepreneurs received a 60% approval. And yes, slavery, absolutely, I'm going to include that. Because America benefits $14.2 trillion. I think we should flood the system with claims.
All black rappers, successful rappers, multi-platinum, multi-million-dollar earning rappers, they owe reparations to the black community, internal reparations, because of the role they played to reduce the black excellence that our ancestors were so dedicated to. The drinking, the smoking, the sex, the violence, the promotion of conspicuous consumption, a promotion of mass incarceration. I've said it before, Art. Gangsta rap is the soundtrack for mass incarceration. Gangsta rap is the soundtrack for mass incarceration. It was yesterday, it is today, and it will be tomorrow. And the gangsta rappers need to be held accountable. I think the black church needs to pay reparations for all the money they've taken and have given us nothing. I think black actors owe reparations. I think the black fraternities and sororities owe reparations, for all the success that they've enjoyed, but not really have done much, substantially speaking, for the black community. To be honest with you, we all owe ourselves reparations. And that's why I'm a bigger fan of internal reparations, Art, than I am external reparations. We can do far more for ourselves together than the white man could ever do for us from the outside.
The U.S. refuses to acknowledge slavery as the gravest crime against humanity because they know that reparations would not be enough. If they acknowledged it as the gravest crime against humanity, they would have to assess impact. And assess an impact, they would have to go all the way back from slavery all the way up till now and acknowledge every single system that has caused that impact. They would have to acknowledge Reconstruction and Jim Crow and voter suppression and mass incarceration and all of these other things that would lead them to believe reparations would not be enough. Having a lump sum of money would not be enough because we would also still have to get rid of said systems that stop us from achieving economic mobility. They would have to acknowledge that things like affirmative action was very much necessary. These DEI policies that the administration got rid of were very much necessary. Student loan debt forgiveness, very much necessary. And then on top of that, historically, every single time Black people in this country have seen liberation, other communities have benefited. Look at the civil rights movement. And so if Black people were to be free, were to be liberated, were to receive reparations, and were to receive the proper policies that are necessary, poor white people would also benefit. Women would also benefit. Immigrants would also benefit. All of these oppressed peoples would also benefit like they have historically. And so they would not want us to have reparations or achieve economic mobility. And they sure as hell would not want a whole bunch of other oppressed groups to also see liberation in the process of us getting that. They don't acknowledge slavery as the gravest crime because they know that reparations would not be enough.
So guys, the issue of reparations in America for Black people has always been a topic of discussion, and up to this point there has not been any conclusive decision on that. Now the people that are actually supposed to be talking about it, addressing the issue and working towards making amends with Black people, actually not behaving as though they are interested in working on this thing. Now, I know you have a lot of feelings and emotions after watching this video because you might not agree with some of the things that these people in the video are saying. So for some of you, you totally agree with what they are saying, and that is fine. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this, and how do you think reparations should work? How do you think this thing should be handled? in order to make amends with black people. What should America do? What must America do to make sure that you people feel safer, you people feel like you have been, they have made things right with you? And when you talk about reparations, who do you think deserves reparations? Yeah, because that has also become part of the reasons and part of the problem when trying to handle this issue of reparations. There are many people that are, talking about even the black Americans did not suffer the same way. So some of them do not deserve the same share as others. And I just wonder how that is supposed to be, determined, for example, how it's supposed to be handled. And the better people to ask that question is you guys, because I have you here. You can leave in the comment section. Let us know what you think about this, because for you to think that you deserve reparations, you must have thought of a way that it should happen and exactly how it would, it would feel okay if it happened. So yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I do not have a lot to say about this video for obvious reasons, that it is more like a question asking you guys to share your thoughts, your comments, and we hope the rightful people watch the video and they decide to do something about it, because it's not the first time that black people are talking about reparations. Black people have always been talking about this. I have made a couple of videos over 100 or 200 videos, and black people are always complaining about the same thing every now and then. Yeah, the comment section is full of that. When are we getting our reparations? If these people want to make it right with us, they have to do the reparations. And the fact that they are not even addressing it, they're not talking about it, it then means that they are not willing or not ready to make amends yet. So for example, when they give formal, how do you call it? Formal, like they are requesting black people to forgive them, their apology. For example, recently I did a video on Pope Leo. He was sending an apology to black people, talking about, we recognize that the Vatican was really a big part of the people that endorsed slavery and everything that happened to you guys, and we own that, and we are here to say sorry that it happened, and we apologize for our forefathers and everything that they did. You did not deserve that. You are human beings. You did not deserve to go through all that. So for me, in my opinion, an apology is okay. An apology is okay, written, spoken, whatever form. An apology is okay, but it is not enough. An apology is not enough for everything that black people have gone through, the kind of life that black people have led to this point, and they're even suffering the consequences right now. Look at racism, the way that it is affecting them and their generations. That is all part of the reason why they need to be given their reparations. Now, they have gone through so much that a simple sorry is not enough. It cannot heal so much. They have missed out on opportunities, so they basically have missed out on some kind of life that they would have led if they were given an equal opportunity. They have missed out on so much that you simply saying sorry by word of mouth is not enough. That is me, that's my opinion. I don't know what you people think. Maybe you have a different opinion. If you're watching me and you're white and or whatever other race, and you'd like to give your view on this, feel easy to do that. Black people, please let us know what you guys think about reparations and how you think it should be done, yeah, and when it should be done, because the comments have become way too much, and I know when it is in every comment section that I make a video about, then it definitely is an issue that you people discuss on your own. You know, that is an internal matter that you discuss with your fellow black people. So guys, if you're watching me for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always choosing to be here. You're the reason I keep making these videos, and I hope that you're also keeping safe, guys. I hope that you're taking care of your mental health, you're taking care of your families, friends. You're just making sure that the person next to you is okay, yeah, because it's some hard times, but this too will pass. So guys, I will see you on my next video. Bye for now.